You ever notice they seem to always get a free pass? Well, today, the Daily Caller reporting the FBI has raided the home of a whistleblower who testified they actually gave documents pertaining to the Clinton Foundation and Uranium One to a government watchdog. You want real Russia collusion, the real story with real evidence, real proof? Well, remember the Clinton State Department, multiple other agencies, they approved the transfer of 20% of U.S. uranium to that Russian company. And by the way, interest linked to the Uranium One deal gave millions and millions to the Clinton Foundation. And just today, Judicial Watch announced that they are suing for documents about the efforts by the Obama DOJ to shut down an investigation into the foundation. What about the foundation's silence on all of their donations from the Saudis and other foreign governments that we have documented on this program? Hardly a peep from the mainstream media, any of this. Here with reaction, by the way, the host of Huckabee, Mike Huckabee, is with us. Fox News contributor Tammy Bruce is back with us. You know, I look at the Uranium One deal, and I know William Campbell, and I interviewed him, and he saw the bribery, extortion, kickbacks, money laundering, and Putin's thugs here in America, Tammy. And Robert Mueller happened to be the FBI director at the time. He's getting the information. The sale went through, was approved, the money got kicked back. Not a peep in the media.
No.
Just like there's no peep in the media about the phony Russian dossier that Hillary paid for.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, look, the system is established to protect. And for things like this. This is why you had such a sloppy system with the Hillary campaign. There's been such a level of protection that they haven't had to be careful. And suddenly, thank goodness, because of the American people and Donald Trump, that environment changed and they were unprepared. This has been going on, well, who knows how long, generations certainly, certainly through the 20th century. So the system is meant to do this. And it's, of course, it's a mutant kind of system that protects the bad guys. We're in the process of changing that, and it's going to take more than 2 years or one term or 2 years. It's going to take at least a generation to move us out of this corrupt kind of framework. And of course, it's going to fight back. And when you've got the entire monster geared to fighting back, it takes somebody really strong, and it takes the American people. This is, you know, we're the bulwark here. The legacy media has abandoned their job, and the American people are the ones now, through, thank goodness, the internet, new media, multiple modes of communication, cable television, that makes the difference. So we're going to be able to do it, but the communication framework is going to be different.
For example, Governor, so you have all these people in the Senate Judiciary. I believe, whatever the charge, they believed it all. But they didn't say a word about the charges, not 36 years ago, about Keith Ellison, emotional and physical abuse. They all love the Clintons. We know all the allegations against Bill. They didn't say a word about Avenatti. He wasn't going to give Brett Kavanaugh due process and presumption of innocence. So it's not the issue they care about. It's the politics they care about. Just like here, Russia collusion, but not if it's Hillary's dossier, or Uranium One giving 20% of America's uranium to the hostile regime of Vladimir Putin. Thought Russia was so bad that they would want to join us and really get to the bottom of it.
Well, this isn't about truth, justice, or the American way. This is about raw power and keeping it. And if you lose it, then get it back, even if you have to try to overturn the results of an election. And that's why it should be so very troubling. Sean, I don't think you or anybody else in America truly believes that Bill Clinton gave a speech that was worth $500,000 in Moscow, while his wife happened to be the Secretary of State. And then suddenly and amazingly, and coincidentally, it just happened that the Uranium One deal came through. FBI director was Bob Mueller. I don't think he's investigating that while he's got this incredible unit of Democrats that he's assembled to do investigation of Russia collusion. The real Russia collusion is seemingly going uninvestigated.
All right, but Governor,
and then you
here's
have
the bottom
Dean
line.
Cain. Yeah.
But we're like an island here, bringing up news and information with evidence, something they don't have against Donald Trump, and yet it penetrates. And it penetrates. And I bet anything Mueller is going to use a sledgehammer to try and bludgeon in his report Donald Trump.
Well, there's no doubt about that. But the one thing that has to happen is that the president has to appoint a permanent attorney general, not a temporary like Whitaker. Maybe it's Lindsey Graham. Maybe it's Trey Gowdy. I don't know. Maybe it's Sean Hannity, for heaven's sakes.
No,
but
that's a bad
he's got to
idea.
have somebody.
I wouldn't get one vote.
Yeah, you know what? It's probably a bad idea. They'll never confirm you. That's for sure.
You're
You would
right.
never make it to the Senate.
Tammy wouldn't even vote for me.
But they've got to have someone,
Sean. Look.
They've got to have someone, Sean, who is going to be relentless, not in trying to be harsh to the Democrats, but trying to be fair to the truth and get to it no matter who it bothers.
Let me add, because the person that is going to do the best job is going to be the person that the Democrats freak out about the most. This is why the Senate, as it exists now, the newbies coming in, even with Romney, we've got to make sure the president makes it clear to Mitch McConnell and every other senator in the Republican Party that this matters, that his next attorney general must be confirmed, that they cannot allow the Democrats to muck up the waters and change this framework. Everything is at stake because the person who's right for that office and every appointee of the president is going to upset people, specifically because they intend to clean house. And that's what's important here.
All right, guys, great analysis. We'll stay on it. We'll do their job. Eventually, hopefully, the truth comes out. And at some point, you became aware that Russia wanted to get a foothold in the uranium industry and that they were going to look at this conglomeration known what we now know as Uranium One, and that deal was going to give them that foothold if, in fact, it was approved by 9 government agencies.
Yes, sir. There was no question about it.
Yeah, and the FBI knew that?
The Bureau knew it. The Uranium One position was a part of a long-term strategy, a 4-tier strategy by the Russians.
Were they telling you that they had confidence that Clinton would sign off on this deal?
Absolute confidence.
Did they have confidence that Obama would sign off on this deal?
They were quite sure that Obama and the administration, who they had deemed and labeled as being very weak multiple times, would respond favorably.
So before they approved it, that informant described issues involving bribery, extortion, kickbacks, money laundering, Putin's network inside America to get a foothold in our uranium industry, the foundational material for nuclear weapons. By the way, Bob Mueller happened to be the FBI director at the time. He was the one being informed. Why would they ever approve any such deal like that? So is Robert Mueller's merry band of Democratic donors, are they investigating that seedy link between the Clintons and Russia? And by the way, of course not. What about Mueller? He was the FBI director. That was his guy that had infiltrated Putin's network in the United States. Maybe he could be investigated. It has to do with Russia, nuclear materials. Why did they ever let that happen? That's because we now live in a 2-tier justice system, one where President Trump and anybody around him are aggressively pursued for months on end by a team of Democrats masquerading as investigators. The Clintons, any other Democrat, they get away scot-free. Every American should be very concerned and worried by what is a completely unfair precedent in this country. And sadly, most of the mainstream media, they are so left-wing in their partisanship, so filled with anti-Trump rage every second, minute, hour of every day that they're literally cheering Mueller every single move he makes with giddy anticipation and excitement, trembling with joy and happiness, sort of like Chris Matthews getting a thrill up his leg watching Obama. Every time they hear the word Russia, 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 even if Mueller's just indicting, intelligence officials from Russia that will never be brought to the U.S. to be put on trial, ever. It's just to mention the name.
Joining me now, Sarah Carter, investigative reporter and Fox Business contributor. Sarah, wow, so much to go at. Thank you so much for joining us on this Thanksgiving Eve. Let's begin with the Clinton Foundation probe. What has Attorney John Huber been up to? Has it been almost close to a year now? Why has this thing been drug out and taken so long? Why can't we get to the bottom of it?
Well, I think that's a question that quite a few people have had for some time now, Ashley. One of the things that they're going to be looking at, and I think Congress is very, very adamant about, is what has Huber been doing? Has he been looking into the foundation, the financial aspects of the foundation? the donations to the foundation, whether or not people within the Hillary Clinton Foundation actually misspent those funds. I know that there are going to be witnesses, more than likely testifying beyond Huber at this hearing, or at least we'll hear about them. This is very important because this is new information that surfaced after Huber was appointed. So this is not based on anything previous, but new information, and I think that's very significant right now.
Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.